Welcome back to the Strata Automation technical channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up an OCR for normal use, as well as how to set it up to use the MEXP expansion modules with the OCR as executable I/O attached to your router. So first thing we're going to do here is plug in all of our MEXPs that we're going to use. You'll see the expansion port on the right-hand side of the OCR and the associated pins on each of the MEXPs that they'll just slot in down the line here. In this video, I'm using 3 MEXPs with 1 OCR. And once those are plugged in, we can go ahead and power the unit on. So I'll apply 24 volts AC, the pins on the left here, and I'll cover what all these pins mean. But once I apply power, you'll see things start to light up, happen on the screens. So on the OCR, it's going through its boot up sequence, and then the MEXPs are boot up pretty quick and they're ready to go. One thing we will need to do is address all of them. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Another thing we can do here is reset the OCR. Holding that button on the top right, about 10 or 15 seconds. You'll reset the OCR back to factory default, and that should allow you to configure it from scratch. So as you can see here, on the left-hand side, we've got the OCR been reset. Pins on, everything looks good. We've got the MEXP 8AI, the MEXP 4AO, and the MEXP 4BO here. The OCR, we've got the power terminals here. We've got the expansion port. We've got the MSTP port, and we've got the Modbus port, which is currently not active. We've also got our MSTP COM service port, dip switches that I'll cover what those mean, and an Ethernet port. Don't forget that top right button, which is recessed for resets. So if we want to use these MEXPs, we'll have to set up the addresses in the order that they are attached. On this first one here, we don't really need to set up the address. They'll default to 1.1, but to get into the settings menu here, just follow the prompts on the screen after pressing the center button. You'll see here I'm setting 1, row 1. Then I'm just going back to the information display screen here. On this 4AO unit, up to the settings, hit up, center to get into the menu, address, click through until it asks me which row. 1, so that's fine. And then this is the second unit, so it's column 2. And then I'll go back to the information display menu, and I'll do the same thing for this 4BO unit. I'll go up, center, settings, address, row 1 still. However, this is now column 3. Hit apply, and then I'll go back to the settings, the information display menu. And so for these addresses, it's important to set these up first to get them to work in the OCR as executable I/O. We'll have to go in and change some settings. But the reason there's a row and a column is because on the OCR, if you see on the bottom terminals, that A+, B-, what that allows you to do is wire up additional expansion modules. So you'll need, if you go beyond 8 MEXP modules attached directly to the OCR expansion port, what that A+, B- terminals allow you to do in the OCR is kick it down to another row and then have up to, again, 8 more expansion modules and so on, up to 256 mixed I/O. So I can't see why somebody would ever use all those, but you can keep going beyond just the OCR expansion port. You just have to have that dedicated MEXP power supply, and then it'll look similar to an MEXP just with no screen on it. It'll just be the power supply. But on that second row, then the addresses would start at row 2 and then column 1, 2, 3, 4 down the line, just like I set up with the regular expansion modules directly into the OCR. So that's what the row and column information means. Once we have our OCR powered on and an Ethernet cable going from the port on the OCR to a port on our computer or a port on our network switch that is also connected to our computer, we should be able to connect to it. So the first thing we're going to want to do is look at the screen of the OCR. If it has gone to sleep, you can just tap the screen and it will light up again. But we'll need to grab the IP information, which is listed next to the globe icon. So on this right-hand column here, you'll see the IP information. Might be hard to see on your screen or this screen here that you're looking at on mine, but on your screen it should be pretty clear. So you'll want to grab the IP information from that and make a note of that, because to first connect to our router, we'll have to match the network settings of the router, and then we can connect to it and change it from there to be on whatever network we like. But to start off, we'll need to grab that IP information. So once we have that, we can go into the network settings of our computer, look at our Ethernet adapters. So we'll need to go into the Ethernet adapter we're using, edit the properties, IPv4. By default, you'll probably be on DHCP. Then what you'll want to do is to first connect to this. You can set it back to DHCP after the fact, but first thing you want to do is use the following IP address. So you want to do every number the same except for that last number. So for instance here on mine, I know that the IP address is 192.168.1.101. So an acceptable option for me to set my computer to be would be 192.168.1.100. My subnet mask, it'll probably default to this 255.255.255.0. You'll just want to match whatever the subnet mask is on your router screen at the time. Then default gateway, you can leave blank. Same goes for DNS information, you can leave that. Once you hit OK, and close all that, then you punch in the IP address of the router in Google Chrome or whatever search engine or browser you use. Here, you'll see I've entered 192.168.1.101. Now I've connected to my router, and I can go through and edit all of the network settings and any other settings in my router. So here you have the device name, the device instance, port you want to use, the backnet IP port, backnet IP network number. Here it will list the MAC address of the OCR. So if you need to whitelist this MAC address for IT purposes on site, that's where you can grab the MAC address of the Ethernet port. Get your IP address, your subnet mask, your IP gateway. Mine's already populated with an Ocean server, but this will likely be zeroed out if you don't have an Ocean server on the network yet. You can disable the router, and then you can configure your MSTP network settings. One thing to keep in mind is you want to leave your MSTP MAC address as 0. If you're using our router with an Ocean server and our controllers, you want to leave this as 0. The rest of the network settings, feel free to tweak those, but you'll just want to make sure that on your network, the router is 0. And the Modbus settings won't do anything yet. This is not functioning yet, but it's there for future use down the line when we add support for that. So once I've done all of my changes here, I'll hit Save Changes. I'm going to confirm all of the settings and then hit Apply and Reset. And you'll notice on the screen of your OCR, it will reboot and you'll see that progress bar again. And then within a few seconds, again, once it's done booting, it should be reflecting the setting changes that you've made. So beyond just configuration and general setup here, you'll notice that I have to set up my expansion IO. You'll see here, I've got it configured for those different inputs and outputs that we had. So I had the 8 AI. By default, it would look like this. I'm going to configure this for 8 AI. First row, AO in the second column, and then BO. So I could have, fill this up with everyone I've configured. Just want to make sure that it matches how you have them physically fired up and connected for each row and each column. Again, up to the 256 that you see here. Again, once I've done that, I can save changes, and then that'll be running that. So then that IO will actually be executable from my OCR through something like an Ocean server, a JACE, whatever front end. Advanced, you can set up a broadcast distribution table. Status just gives information about what's going on with the router. Security, you can set a password. Debug won't be really useful to you, but information, same with the boot log here. And then the upgrade, you can update the firmware directly from the interface here, or using your OCR with our Ocean server, you can update the firmware on the router through the Ocean server as well. You don't have to go through this interface every time. You can also do it just through your Ocean server. But once you have everything set, and you've saved all your changes, then you can feel free to set your network settings back to what they were before. Again, if you were to change the IP address to a different network, I would have to reconfigure my network and my Ethernet adapter to be on that same network. But once it's on whatever network I'd like, I can change my computer back, and then I should be able to connect to it again at that new IP address I have set. So that's how you set up your OCR, wire it up, but then also figure it through software. Thanks for watching and have a great day.